Hi Taylor and Cody. So I'm making this video to show you some fun things you can do with Jack, and I'm just going to focus on like the 1 to 3 month level, and then we can always make another one for 3 to 6 month level. So some of this is going to be me just talking with you, and some of it I'll show you with my demo doll that I always used when I did peds teletherapy. This is Lucy, and some of the props I have here. But you guys don't need a lot of the props I have. You have the wonderful pillows, the boppy pillows, the little small pillow that Taylor showed me that's for doing tummy time. So I don't think you're going to need to make the props I have, but the props I have are what I use with all my families. So some of the first things are to remember that from 0 to 3 months, they're really just babies are trying to establish just their self-regulation, like how much stimulation can they tolerate, and the environment you provide at home is what is going to help support that. So one of the things I tell all my families is definitely have periods of time where your baby is away from noise, away from the sounds of a TV or music or dishwasher or anything. If they're always around noise, then that's going to become a pattern they seem to need, and you don't want that to happen. So a couple hours a day, they're in the front room, TV's on, you guys are chit-chatting or whatever, but when maybe they're napping, maybe the little bassinet or whatever is further away so they don't hear the TV, or the lights above them are dimmed to almost nothing during the daytime. Definitely at nighttime, you want it to be a dark environment. But it's not that you don't want some stimulation during the day while they're sleeping, but you really want that child to know that if they're awake and they're just trying to look around and just use their eyes and listen a little, sometimes the background noise of TV, music, lawnmowers, dishwashers can actually fatigue them and be too much, and they can't actually do what they were hoping to do, which might be looking at your face or scanning the environment. So definitely set up sometimes a day where it doesn't have to be silent, but the child's away from things, and other times he's closer to the sound. And the same with, again, visual stim. Tons of bright lights all the time over him, like if he's taking a nap or you're putting him down for a nap, turn off the lights above him, that type of thing, if he's going to be out in the front yard or in the backyard, keeping him away from the bright lights. That would be too much unless you're trying to increase his alertness. Maybe right before feeding time, you do turn those lights up. So that's one thing. Also talking in a calmer, slower tone with a slower pace. So if I was holding Lucy and I wanted her to actually pay attention for a little bit and let's do something together, I'm going to maybe show her some visual cards or something. I might gently just put my hand on her chest without rubbing and just say, "Hey, Lucy," and then wait, like look at her, but wait and see if she responds and looks towards me. If I'm like, "Hey, Lucy, let's go. You're a big girl," it's just too much, and you're going to see they're not responding as well. Maybe they're startling more. You might see more hiccuping, more spit-upping if you come in too strong, too loud. So when I'm working with babies and I want to actually achieve something, maybe we're going to work on tummy time, or we're going to look at cards, or we're going to feed, whatever it is. I usually first do a little alerting where I put a hand on their chest, or even their own hand. I might take their own arm up on their chest, and I might be like, "Hi, Lucy. That's a big girl. Good job." So pausing between each sentence, keeping the voice lower, and giving her time when you say like, "Such a big girl." Give her that moment to see if her eyes turn towards you or her head turns towards you, that type of thing. If you notice a lot of times you're trying to do something and the kid's turning away from you, it's actually a signal that they're asking you to calm down. Like, that's too much. Okay? So that's one thing. That's one thing, is prep them before you're going to do visual cards or tummy time or feeding. Get them awake, maybe a hand on their chest, their own hand. Before feeding, I've always done hand to mouth, maybe some tapping, some rubbing, just slow and easy, but definitely pressure to get them going. I know right now you're avoiding any sucking activities, so you don't need to have them suck their own fingers or pacifier. But if you were at the point where Jack's really trying to suck his fingers, and you're like, "Yeah, we're going to allow him to now," you would do some maybe slow tapping, 1 per second, because that's what a nutritive suck is. It's 1 per second. And then you might let him go ahead and suck his fingers. But I usually do a little prep before feeding just around their mouth. Okay. And then the other thing is that anytime you're doing diaper changes, I'm going to pull this back a little so you can see. Anytime you're doing a diaper change, whether it's on the floor, up on the bed, up on his changing table, when you're all done for a 1 to 3 month old, roll them to their tummy, and give them at least 30 seconds or a minute on their tummy. So you're sneaking in more tummy time with every diaper change. And that way, really, 6 to 8 wet diapers a day, you know that kid's been on his tummy 6 to 8 times a day. Okay? So definitely at the end of every diaper change, roll them over. You'll see that Jack is probably going to start working on a lot of activities that bend him and flex him a little bit more. So you can definitely be doing some legs up, maybe a hand towards foot, anything that's more like flexion up here, bending, is really actually a great thing at its age. So again, with diaper changes when you're done, if maybe you want to skip tummy time, but you just want to do a little bit of this. Very fun. Okay? Don't do any of the physical therapy activities right after he ate. You could definitely make him spit up a little bit. Movement, excessive, some pressure on his tummy with the physical therapy makes him spit up. So I suggest you doing some of this right before you think you're going to feed. You'll arouse him. He might get pissed off. He calms down. He's ready for his bottle. So, 15 minutes, 10 minutes before his feeding is a great time to do it if you have noticed. If not, just wait till he wakes up, but it's not right before feeding. Okay? And then to make sure that whenever you guys are positioning equipment, his bed or the bassinet, don't have it where you're always coming towards him on the same side. So in Lucy's case, every time I come by her, if she's lying down in her bassinet to pick her up or change a diaper or do some care, I'm on her right side. If I'm always on her right side, Lucy's going to start between 0 to 3 months, turning her head to the right, to the right, to the right, to the right, and you're going to notice the stiffness. She's going to end, we're trying to avoid plagiocephaly or torticollis because we have to have kids sleep on their back. So therefore, they have a tendency to be nice and flat in the back. We want them equally turning their head right and left. And again, if you're always coming in one direction, you'll start noticing, wow, she tends to only want to go to that side. So you can change things 2 different ways. You can actually change the whole bassinet around, pick up the piece of furniture and make sure you turn it around. Or it could be as simple as every other day you have her sleeping the opposite direction. So now I didn't change where the bassinet of the crib is, but when I approach her now, I'm approaching her on her left side. Really simple trick to make sure that she doesn't get a stiff neck torticollis, which is so common now with back to sleep. Okay. And then the visual cards is the last thing I'll show you before I put her on the ground. So visual cards, I suggest doing it when you're holding her, but you can also do it in lots of different positions. I tend to hold like this more for feeding and something that I'm going to do like mouth activities or just hold. When I'm going to do physical therapy with a kid, but I want her in a similar position, I want both my hands free. So I tend to sit up against something. My back's supported. Their legs will be up on your chest. He's so small, they might be hanging down. But you've got her, or Jack, in a nice position here, where you can actually be helping to do some visual cards. You could be doing some massage up here. You could be doing some gentle, calm talking, moving your head face to face, side to side. What you want to see Jack do between 0 to 3 months is start locking on your face. So if Jack was looking at me, I might not move, I might not talk. Just let him look at me. No talking, just turn your head slightly. See if he's starting to organize those eyes and follow you. The other way, if he's doing pretty good without talking, then add your voice. Hey, Jack. But if you right away come in with, hey, Jack, and you're moving your head, you're going to notice he's not going to tolerate the activity very long. His eyes aren't going to stay as organized, and he's going to fatigue real quick. So instead, come in without talking, just with that. You might do a soft rattle. So now you're stimulating his ears as well, auditory. Maybe just lightly do a rattle. Okay. Light little rattle. And see if he even sort of orients towards the sound too. Babies hear best about 6 inches away, light, calm things, and they see about 6 inches away, light, calm things. When you're doing anything visual, black and white for now, for like that first month, month and a half, he is going to respond much better to a pattern that's just simple contrast of black and white. So you would hold that 6 to 8 inches away, knowing that midline is going to be the easiest. It can be in any position, but I'm just going to do it in this position right now. And you're just going to see if he seems to stare at it. If he does, then you're going to move it the other direction. Possibly take it back the other direction. And then when he gets a little older, you can start doing patterns. The only things that really Jack needs, oh, by the way, another carrying method, sorry. You can carry him around like this, but as you feel more comfortable with your control, if your arm goes between his legs and your hand and trunk arm is across his tummy, you can support his head sideways, obviously, he'd be like this, and start giving him more tummy time, just carrying him around. Pretty simple way to carry him. Most kids love it, and he gets more tummy time as well. He's on your arm, he's getting some good tummy time, his head would be sideways, you're holding that head. Great way to hold him. When you're burping him, up here at the very end of the feeding, because you don't mind if he falls asleep, but if you're burping him, you're sitting, he's sitting, pelvis way far back, and you're doing this burping like this in between, rubbing, rocking him a little bit, and some soft patting. But I would definitely be burping him twice, once in between breasts and once at the end. If you're doing a bottle feed, once after every ounce, just for now, so that you get all the air out. I did notice he tends to be a little gulpy and a little bit gassy, so I would definitely be burping him more frequently. And the only thing on the ground, definitely do some play in sideline. I tend to put my arm behind him and a hand on the head and just let him play with his hands between his together. Nice midline. You'll notice over time he'll bring those feet up. But just let him look at toys. Maybe you've got your visual cards or something out there that he can stare at, or a rattle. You just let him play side to side. Make sure you do both sides. Tummy flat, so he can go flat with his head. He'll turn his head on his own, or you can help him. Great. Stretches out those legs. Just let him play. And then not now, but as he gets a little bigger, you're going to notice you can put him first up on a roll where his head is actually on that roll with his arms. But when he gets stronger, the next progression is he's actually got his tummy on the roll and the arms and head are over it. Again, he's not even close to ready for that, but 2.5 to 3 months he will be. So don't start it right here. I think that's why I'm showing you this, is he's not ready for this. He's ready for head on there with supervision. You're watching him. You're making sure that he can control it just like that. And lastly, don't forget about hands and feet. I would definitely add some infant massage in. I would be doing some gentle touching to make sure he doesn't get sensitive. I'm doing pressure, and I'm rubbing and just sort of getting those fingers going. Same with this side. I'd be doing, you can put a little oil on your hands if you feel like you need to. Same with the feet. I might be rubbing and doing the feet. Okay, pressure, maybe 30 seconds on each just for fun, just fun stuff. In any position you want. And then tummy. If you feel like Jack's got a bubble and he's gassy and he's constipated, do an infant massage coming down on the right side and swooping towards the left. Coming down on the right side, swoop to the left. Right side, swoop. Really helps with gas. All right, I know this was a lot. Maybe we can show you in person next time. I would recommend anybody that babysits, look at this video one time. Any nanny or your mom comes and visits again, or your dad, anybody that's going to be hanging out with Jack, it's fun to see some of the fun things they could be working on as well. And then I'll make another one for when he's a little older. All right. Hope that helped you guys. Bye, Jackson.